Hey everybody, I am reading this really incredible book called Letting Go, and the can't think of the author right this second, but it is so good because for those of you that or for those of us that want to understand energy more, like, you know, some people go, okay, what are chakras? And literally chakras are energy, the energy centers in our body. And so they start from the base, like right underneath your, like in your pelvic area, and they go all the way up to the crown of your head. And there's centers, like there's the crown chakra, there's the third eye chakra, there's the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus chakra. And so they just they go all the way down and up. And the more you allow yourself to get to those energy centers to operate out of, the more you can be aware. And so some of you are like, what the heck is she talking about? And yes, I'm talking about energy. There's more than just the physical. You know how when you look at a magazine, you're like, wow, they're pretty. Or you look at something and people watch TV and it's kind of like, I don't think people realize that stuff is like so physical and so, and it's like blocking us from being able to fully function in the person that we're created to be. And so I don't watch a lot of TV, but and there's a reason I don't participate in a lot of things. Because I want to operate in the energy that I was born with. And I feel like my energy is joy. And so my father, he didn't know this at the time, but my name, Kara, in Greek means joy. And so what somebody told me when I was a teenager one time, they said, you are joy, and you're never going to fully understand that. You'll start to understand more and more as life goes on and as you age. And that's probably true for you too. So there's something within you that people are drawn to, and that's the energy that you function out of. And so what is it? What energy do you operate out of? I'm reading this book, like I said, Letting Go, and I know I'm talking really fast because I'm really excited about this, and I want to implement it and talk about it as much as I can in this short amount of time that I'm talking to you. So I wrote some notes, and I want to say, like, there's these energies. So the chakras, the energy centers I was telling you about, there's the base, and they all have a frequency. So whenever you're talking to someone, whenever you're just going about your day-to-day life, there's this frequency that you put out there. Kind of like when you go to the power source in your house, where the energy, like the electrician has to go in and fix something, like if the outlets and everything starts from that power source in the central part of the house, where you feel, where you hear, when you go to that power source, you hear the frequency. It's like, and it makes this noise. And that's like us. We have this energy center, and it's like, it releases this frequency. So like the outlets, you can go to your outlets and you plug in to get the energy. And it releases amount of energy to whatever is plugged in. The same thing with you. When you operate out of your energy, you're letting out, but see, there's no one central source that you're letting out at. It could be you're vibrating continuously all the way out. Like Mother Teresa, like when she operated in her energy, her peace energy, she vibrated beyond her flesh, beyond the people around her, into the world. She impacted the world. So did Hitler. It doesn't mean just because you have a good energy or bad energy, or there's no such thing. He operated out of this anger energy. He took action, and he impacted the world. And so what kind of energy are you operating out of? I get excited about this, and I know it freaks a lot of people out, but I'm going to tell you about the energy levels. So out of your crown chakra, the very top chakra is like 600, okay? In human terms, it means peace. This is the rarest, energy that people operate out of, and it's actually, it's really rare in human form. So it's an effortless energy that people put out there, and I'm actually creating a book about this, and I'm so super excited. So after I finish the little yogi series, there'll be this this book, and I'll tell you the title when I get all that laid out. And but so peace operates out of this frequency level of 600, and that's the highest level you can operate out of. And like I said, it's very rare in the human world. You might see somebody maybe close to it, like Gandhi or somebody like that, but they had to eventually get to that. They didn't just instantaneously happen. So the next one is 540, and that's joy. And that joy is a love that is unconditional and it's unchanging. It's despite the circumstances and actions of others, the world is illuminated by exquisite beauty, and which is seen in all things. And the perfection of creation is self-evident. There's closeness to unity and discovery of self. It's compassion for all. It's enormous patience, something we're all working on. There's a feeling of oneness with others, and a concern for their happiness. There's a sense of self-completion and self-sufficiency and that prevails. And believe it or not, love is underneath joy at 500. So you have the peace at 600, you have the joy at 540, and then you have the love at 500. And that frequency, there's nurturing, there's and illuminates from the heart, and it does not proceed from the mind. And then there's 400, which is reason. And that means just to conceptualize and problem solving and logical thinking and things like that. At 350, it's acceptance. And a lot of people don't even operate out of this. And that acceptance means there's that there's that harmony that people can have with others. And so we don't see a lot of that nowadays. Some people operate out of willingness, which is at 310 frequency. It's that positive attitude. They seek to serve. A lot of people that try to make a change in the world, you'll see them operating out of 310, that willingness, their willingness to serve. Then at 250, there's neutrality. There's that non-judgmentalness, the non-competition. And then courage is at 200. And courage is defined by determination, it's self-empowerment, it's being productive. So you see a lot of business people that are very productive and very determined, and people that try to make things happen, they operate out of that courage at 200. And out of 600 operating at 200, they're still impacting the world or the people around them. Pride is at 175. And you have to understand really quick, no matter what level you're at of that frequency you're operating out of, it doesn't mean that you're more powerful. You can be so powerful at any of those levels of frequency. Like pride at 175, it's those people that are like, it's my way is the best way. There's no other way. And they're all about perfectionism. And then one of my favorites is anger. It's at 150, because if somebody gets angry, it means they can take action. Because it means they have passion in them, and it can be changed from this volatile, forceful, threatening, attacking, bitter, explosive, irritable ways of doing things. The fact that they have anger, it can be molded, and it can be transformed, and what is it when people like transform from one thing to another? You know, they morphing. You can morph it into something where it can be so useful, and like almost like I said earlier, like somebody so negative that impacted the world, like Hitler, his energy, his anger could have been morphed into something so positive. So when somebody gets angry, I'm like, yes, they have anger. That means they can morph into the most powerful being that they've ever been, but in a positive way. And so it gets me excited, even if people get angry. So when my kids get angry, I get excited because I know they're not like apathetic or something. So now desire is at 125 frequency, and that is the type that I have to have this now, and they're seeking gain, they want pleasure, they're never satisfied, they're always craving something. Fear at 100, which is a lot of us, when we react to something, we either react as a child or as an adult. And if you're scared, that means you're probably acting from the child within you. And you're not looking at things differently with the perception of an adult when you see something. Hey guys, I had a phone call. So fear is at 100, and 100 frequency, and it means there's somebody thinks of like, you know, danger everywhere. They're possessive, they're jealous, they're anxious. Now grief is at 75 frequency energy, and A lot of people, that's like helplessness. They're sad. They regret a lot. They're desperate. They're depressed. There's separation from others. Apathy is at 50, and that's draining, being immobilized, and also like a poverty level. Guilt, when people operate at guilt, the frequency of that is 30, and it's remorseful, suicidal, self-sabotaging. There's doing evil unto others. And the last one at 20 is shame. And that just results in like banishment and humiliation, cruelty to self and others, and destructive to your health. So those are some of the frequencies that people operate out of, and it's so cool if you can step back and realize, okay, what am I operating out of? What energy am I putting? What energy is coming from within me? What energy source am I operating out of? I know that was a long spiel, but it's really good to kind of dip into that and to find out more about yourself. And if you don't like what's going on, you don't like that energy you're operating out of, the beauty is you can reprogram yourself to not operate in that anymore. That you can start to train your mind by reading books and making little subtle changes every day. Like they say, you can't just jump into a healthy lifestyle. If you're eating out at fast food every day, you're going to be like, that's a habit. And to break that, you're going to have to make little subtle changes, like slowly, like buying something at the grocery store, slowly eating like snacks at the house, and then a meal, and then adding to it, and slowly growing into that change. So, that's just something I wanted to throw out there for you guys, and I hope you have an awesome day. And if it's like, woo, way past your understanding, no worries. Maybe if you listen to this a couple of times, it'll make more and more and more and more sense. Like when you go to church and you go every Sunday, you're like, more and more and more, it makes more and more sense because it's being programmed into your mind. So, or just read the book Letting Go, and I'll put the author underneath the comments later. I hope you guys have a rocking day. Bye.